What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's real estate investing deal breakdown. I'm your host, Greg Helbeck, and on this episode, I'm going to talk to you about a real estate deal that I just closed the other day that netted over $342,000 of pure, unadulterated net profit. You heard that right, $342,000 of net profit on one single real estate deal. If you're interested to learn on how I actually did that, this is going to be the podcast/YouTube video to watch and listen to. So if you're not familiar with me, my name is Greg Helbeck. I've been a full-time real estate investor now for over 8 years. I've done well over 200 deals, and we got a relatively big business back on the East Coast. But ironically, this house was actually on the West Coast in San Diego, California. This is actually part two. A couple months ago, I did part one on how I found the deal and some of the projections. And on this video, we're actually going to break down the results and the reality on what happened on this deal. So if you do get value from today's podcast, please do me a favor and like the show on YouTube and review it on Spotify or Apple, wherever you're watching this. The address of this house, it's 15642 Calas de Reyes in San Diego, California. It is basically a townhouse condo situation. It's like an attached residential property. It's not an SFR, but anyway, it's super valuable because the neighborhood is called Rancho Bernardo, and that's a super high-end area in San Diego. It's super nice. It's easy to commute all over the city from. Really desirable location in San Diego, and like I mentioned in the first video, I actually found this property from something I call a deep skip trace, which is on every marketing list, there's always going to be addresses that you're not going to be able to get the mail delivered to for whatever reason. And in this case, we kept sending them a postcard and no one was calling. So I did some research on this address and it was vacant and it was inherited and it had 15 grand in back taxes. So when I saw that, I was like, oh man, this might be something that could be interesting because it seems like someone's basically just neglecting this asset. After doing some research, I ended up getting in touch with the person who was the next of kin. In this case, it was the seller's brother. And he said that he wasn't really planning to sell it because he didn't want to do anything with it. He was just going to give it back to the county for taxes. And I said, listen, man, I mean, if I can give you some money for this thing and you can walk away with something, is that something you'd consider? And he said, yeah, I would. He had to talk with his sisters. They ended up getting back to me. We ended up getting the house at $275, like I mentioned in the first video. But today's video is actually about the exit strategy, the actual resale of the properties. If you didn't watch the first episode, I'd go back and watch that. But on this video, I'm going to talk about what happened when I actually bought the property. So I closed on this property. I ended up getting a private money lender to lend me the entire purchase price to buy this thing. So I didn't have to come out of pocket that much money, about $10,000 in closing costs or 11 grand in closing costs. I hired a contractor. It cost around $25,000. And the goal with this property wasn't to do a ginormous rehab and gut the thing to the studs. My plan was to put the minimum amount in within reason to get the maximum dollar price given the condition the property was going to be in. So rehabbing the thing full-blown cowboy style was not going to make a lot of sense because I bought it so cheap. So I knew it was worth just so much more even the way it sat. But I figured if I put 25 grand worth of cosmetic stuff, paint, carpet, fixing some stuff that was broken, that would go a long way, which it ultimately did. So ended up putting $25,000 into the property with a contractor I found locally in San Diego. And we went to go list this property for sale. So the way that we were going to do this, and by the way, shout out to Randy and Jessica at eXp Realty. I think their company's called Realty National. They are the best real estate brokers I've ever worked with. I've worked with tons of brokers before. They're amazing. They always do a great job on all my properties I've done with them. So I ended up listing the property. They told me that given the work you put into this house, Greg, you should list it for $675. If we list it for $675, that should be a pretty attractive price to hopefully drive up that demand and get the thing selling for multiple tens of thousands over ask. So that's exactly what we did. We threw the house on the MLS with great pictures and it was much cleaner after I put that work into it for $675. Within a week, we had 20 offers on this property. We ended up getting 3 really good offers that we had to select from. The first one was the ultimate offer I took for $750. The second one was a backup for $757 with some crappier terms. And the third one, this came in after the fact, was an actual cash offer for $750. So I had 3 offers at $750 or above, which is crazy. So what is that? 75 grand over list price. But in San Diego, when you have a property and it is priced right, it generally will sell very fast. So we ended up selecting the first offer and they seemed very serious, very committed. And I was like, wow, I did not think I was going to sell this thing for that much above list price. And once we were in escrow, they did a home inspection. They found some stuff. So I ended up having my contractor go up there and fix some of the stuff that they wanted fixed. And then I ended up giving them a credit for some of the stuff that I didn't really want to fix so they could obviously deal with it after the fact and they can get compensated for that. So that's another lesson here. When you're dealing with a retail buyer and you're flipping houses, always try to go for a credit instead of fixing the property because at the end of the day, this is just inventory you're moving. So you don't want to get caught in the weeds fixing stuff on a house you're never going to live in yourself. So when someone wants something done to their property, just give them a credit. I gave these people more than a fair, reasonable credit to have them fix the property after the fact. And obviously the credit is basically just a discount on the price, so they can use that money that they're getting in the form of a credit to actually make the repairs themselves. And the other reason I like giving a credit is because when you give somebody a credit, they can pick their own contractor and they can do it on their timeline and they can be happy with the work. Because if you don't give them a credit and you fix it on your own and then they're not happy with it, now all of a sudden you just spent money and it's still not satisfying. So always push to give them a credit if they're down for a credit. So I gave them a credit for some of the stuff, and we ended up closing escrow within 2 weeks. So literally we went into contract, I believe in the beginning of February, and we got to the closing table mid-February. So this retail buyer closed in 2 weeks with a mortgage, which is insane. California is like lightning fast real estate. You can close deals so fast there. It's so efficient. Unlike New York, where this would have taken 2 months to close with a retail buyer. That's just the way New York is. So at the end of the day, after the credits, after the commissions, after paying my lender back with interest and points, I netted $342,000 of pure profit on this deal. Now, here are some lessons I want to give you on this deal that you can take, that you can hopefully apply in your business. Number one, this is a unicorn deal, right? I'll be the first one to tell you, deals like this don't come by your desk every day of the week. They probably don't even show up more than once every 2 or 3 years, unless you're just going after big commercial properties. The lesson is this: when you get a home run deal like this, don't wholesale it, right? I could have wholesaled this thing for at least $250,000, but I didn't want to do that because I knew this was such a unicorn property, getting it for so cheap. So when you get a deal that's an absolute home run grand slam, don't wholesale it. Just close on the property. I promise you'll find the money if it's a good enough deal like this, and either throw it on the market as is or put a little bit of work into the property and sell it for more money. But don't wholesale the home runs. Keep the home runs for yourself. You want to maximize the profit on these things because they don't come up that often, and you don't want to try to wholesale it and have a buyer try to screw you over. It's just not worth it. So don't wholesale the home runs. That's lesson number one. Lesson number two, you got to have a good team. This deal was very successful because of the real estate agents I hired to sell the property. Not every real estate agent is created equally. Some of them are really bad. Some of them are really good. But when you have a really good real estate agent who sets the right expectations, they give you a reasonable price, they're professional, they're full-time, they do this every day, it just makes the sales process a lot easier. So hire a good team when you're flipping houses. It makes all these deals so much easier. So go out, do research, find out who's selling properties, who's really good, who has high production numbers, and have them sell your property, because the real estate agents that are really successful are successful for a reason, because they're true professionals. So you have to hire a good team. And the third lesson is this, and I know this is cheesy, this business can absolutely create the life of your dreams, right? If you were to tell me back when I started this business, back when I was 20 years old, that I was going to be doing deals making $340,000 of net profit, I would have told you you're crazy. But as I've gone along my real estate journey over the last almost 10 years, I've realized the sky is the limit, right? And before this deal, I've done multiple deals that have made over 6 figures. But, this business can provide these types of opportunities. This is a life-changing deal, obviously, and you got to put yourself in a situation where you can have these opportunities every couple of years come up and capitalize it. I literally found this property through some pretty extensive research, and I reached out to the owners because I knew that if they were going to say yes, there would have been a pretty good chance that it was going to be a great deal. Did I expect the deal to be this good? No, I was expecting this deal to be a couple $100,000 profit, which is really good, but I didn't expect this to be a 342 net. The third lesson is this business can absolutely give you the life of your dreams. You got to put in the work every day. You got to be consistent. You got to be very strategic, and every single experience you encounter in this business brings you value. If you were to give me this deal when I first started, I would have not known what to do. I would have fumbled this thing, but 8 years of experience and hundreds of deals to show for it, when you get an opportunity like this, you know exactly how to capitalize on it, right? So you got to go out there. You got to put the work in every day. If you're at the plate taking swings, as the old baseball analogy says, it's just going to be a matter of time until you hit a home run. So hopefully you got value from this. If you did, if you could do me a favor, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you're listening to this on an audio platform, if you can subscribe to that podcast, share this with some people who might want to hear this message. And if you're local to San Diego, Reno, Delaware, or the Hudson Valley in New York, and you have a deal you want to sell me, or if you just want to wholesale a property with me, you want a JV, a wholesale deal, send me an email, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com. I'll see you on the next real estate investing deal breakdown. Take care.